Chapter 13. I swam until my anger cooled and my curiosity crystallized into question. I climbed out of the pool asking, "Do they have proof it was the Zoo's yet?" I heard Mother signing for another delivery of flowers from Mrs. Zoo. "Do you think that's odd? And last night when Miles came to get Father from dinner, because Mr. Vickers was on the phone, what was that about?" I'd been trying to remember everything I could about the other families. Mr. Vickers was a short man with a manicured beard. His wife was a blonde-haired, tan Texan with a soft voice and sweet smile. Their daughter didn't take after either of them. She was neither short nor quiet. "Remember Magnolia?" I asked. Garrett gave up, pretending to ignore me. He looked up from his magazine and handed me a towel. "Yeah. Were you there the time she made Carter drink hot sauce?" His mouth pulled to a nostalgic smile, but I shook my head. "She was wild. You probably weren't allowed to play when she was over." "Only once. Mother set up a tea party for us in my room while they had their own." Maggie had eaten all the sugar cubes, poured the tea in my unicorn bank, made a tower of the cups and saucers, then used my Cinderella snow globe to bowl them down. It did not go well. You've got to remember the time she dared Carter to jump from the tree to the pool, or at least the result. He was miserable in that cast. He used to hit me with it when he got mad. Did he tell you we saw her this year, in the fall? She was on campus for a cross-country race. I thought he was going to run away. Carter still terrified of her. Carter. He wasn't still terrified of her. He wasn't still anything, except a hole in our lives and an ache attached to every breath and memory. In the moments like this, it was too hard to look at each other. I studied the lawn, and Garrett turned back to his magazine. Once I could inhale and exhale without it catching in my throat. Once I stopped blinking to clear my eyes, I flipped the cover up. Gun World. The address label said Hugh Ward. At least it wasn't his subscription. "You're dripping," he grumbled. "Whatever, you're not even reading. Put it down and talk to me. Tell me what you know." I touched his shoulder softly, hesitantly, then couldn't bring myself to pull my hand away from his warm skin. He scoffed. "What I know? Do you think my dad or brothers tell me anything? And despite that, they're still convinced your dad will pick me to replace him." "Oh, I hadn't thought about that." "I don't know if I want to. Lead with Carter, yeah, but without him?" I squeezed his shoulder, back to blinking and swallowing against tears. "Why would anyone kill him?" "I don't know. I really don't." He rolled the magazine into a tight cylinder. "Then tell me something you do. What really happened the night we went to New York City? What's happening with the Everleys? What's dead meat?" His face had been carefully blank throughout my assault of questions, but the last one made him swallow. "What's dead meat, Garrett?" I counted to 10 while he stared at me. 10, with Mississippi's in between. And when I got to 11 Mississippi, I retracted my hand, ready to give up, but he groaned and patted the cushion next to him. "You can't talk to your dad about this. Promise." I nodded, wrapping my towel tighter to prevent the goosebumps that were chasing at my arms. He studied me for another 5 Mississippis before he spoke. "Dead meat was the code name for Deer Meadow. You know how all the spas and B&Bs have code names, right?" I nodded. Sky and Light Day Spa, up in Maine, was Skin and Liver. Kilney's Bed and Breakfast, down in Hilton Head, specialized in kidneys. Turtle Island, tissue. I never heard of Deer Meadow. And dead meat? Wait. I jumped up. Does that mean it's cadaver tissue? Listen before you start judging, please. I sat back down and chewed my lip. Dead meat was Carter's baby. It's a new spa in Manhattan. Your dad doesn't know. It's not cadavers the way we normally get them, with families signing them over, with a donor filling out the forms prior to dying. He looked away from me, stared out through the gate. We have a connection with a morgue. We get calls when they have bodies coming in. We pay a fee, way less than the $250K your dad pays for donor families. And we have a whole body to work with. Carter did this? Forget goosebumps. I was trying not to vomit. I knew he talked about it, but hypothetical discussion was different than learning. It was happening. And that night, was it the whole body in the trunk or just the valuable parts? Were they in the kitchen freezer while we ate pizza in his apartment? Don't sound like that. It's not just a money thing. Yeah, the profits are good, but we can do transplants for way cheaper. So many more people can afford them, not just the super rich. Our clients aren't like Mr. Pyle, who's currently drinking his way through his third liver and already gave your dad the down payment for his fourth. Who have you fixed? I wanted Garrett to be able to look me in the eye and convince me to support Carter's last project. Lots of people. We still do all the testing. Nucleic acid, you know, the good kind. We're not the Everleys using diseased parts. But like, this one kid, 16 years old, a baseball star. He was in a car crash and whacked his knee. We did a ligament transplant for him. He should be able to play again. Or we did a heart valve transplant on a 2-year-old girl. Is she going to be all right? He finally turned back toward me, his face tense. Yeah, she is. And it was a single mom. She never could have afforded what the zoos, Vickers, or even what your dad charges. Is this dead meat? Is this why Carter was killed? No, I don't think so. I've checked up on the spa, and that's all secure. Nothing's changed there. And I had security review the tapes from that night. Wherever Carter was, it wasn't Deer Meadow. It's still functioning? I whispered. It's Carter's legacy. The family may not be letting me do much around here these days, but I'll do anything to protect this. He clenched his jaw and flipped the edge of my towel between 2 fingers. So, what are you thinking? I don't know, I said slowly. Nolan's always talking about the need for price control. It's part of why he supports the Organ Act. If the industry was legalized, there'd be set prices and better quality control. I had never thought about it this way. When are you going to tell my father and the family? Garrett's fingers stilled. When I think that they're ready to listen. Maybe after the zoos are punished and people calm down. This is all I have left of Carter. I can't screw this up, Penny. Do you get it? I wasn't sure. I wanted to, but I just wasn't sure. I'd open and close my mouth a 6 times, each one to give a different answer, when Mother appeared through the French doors behind the library. She had a tray of food and an indulgent expression as she looked at Garrett and me sitting together. I thought you two might be hungry, so I fixed up a snack for before your CBC. She set down the tray on the patio table. Glasses of orange juice and bowls of chickpeas, raisins, almonds, and dates. She ruffled his hair affectionately, smiled at me. Thanks, we said, but she didn't leave. How are you doing, Garrett? Her eyes turned sad, her smile faded. I kept meaning to make time to ask you that, and to tell you that if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Thank you, ma'am. Garrett ducked his head and resumed playing with the edge of my towel. I thought I heard him sniff. I know your father's not the most... She reached out and stroked his hair again. And your brothers, I know it can't be easy, but it couldn't have been easy growing up as much a part of our family as yours. I want you to know I'm here for you. He stood and hugged her. Mother was tiny compared to his height and bulk. But he was the one who looked vulnerable as she rubbed his back and murmured soothing things. I curled my legs up under the towel, as if wrapping myself in a terry cloth would help me contain my jealousy. I wasn't even sure who or what I was jealous of. A hug from either of them? Both of them? The fact that Garrett was letting Mother be there for him in ways that he hadn't let me? It didn't matter, because entwined with my jealousy was so much self-reproach for feeling jealous. Why shouldn't Garrett, whose own mother had walked out on him when he was 12, borrow mine when he was mourning his best friend? I feel like my shadow is gone, he said through quiet sobs. Or like I'm the shadow left behind, and the person I'm supposed to be following is gone. I just keep looking for him. It's instinct. I'm never going to find him. He hiccuped, and Mother rubbed his back in a calming circles, the way she rubbed mine for the first 6 years of my life. I'm never going to find him, Garrett repeated, but I can't remember to stop looking. I stood up, planning to walk away and give him privacy, but he let go of Mother with one hand and held it out to me. I squeezed his fingers. He flexed them against mine. It wasn't holding hands. He couldn't squeeze back. But it was enough to let me know I was included. It was enough of an invitation that I stepped closer, put my hand on his back above my mother's, and leaned my head on his shoulder. We stood this way for a long time. It was Mother who pulled back first, with a reluctant glance at her wristwatch. I love you, dear children. She kissed both of our foreheads. I have to go make sure Annette has sent in lunch trays for the men. Oh, and dinner tonight will be a little earlier, 6:30. Wear something nice. Your father's invited the whole family. Apparently, there's going to be an announcement.